Self-discovery is something that I think a lot of us would need to grow in, and I'm still growing in this area, but I think it really helped me to recognize things that I wasn't doing right, areas that I needed to work on. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So excited to have you here today. My name is Carina, darling. I'm the face behind this brand. I am a wellness and travel vlogger. I love to talk about everything wellness, and as a professional with a career in the city of London, my emphases are on millennials who also have very professional busy jobs or careers working in capital cities across the world, who on top of those very busy jobs and career have side hustles as well. And I'm here to assist them navigate life stress-free. So welcome. If you're not subscribed, please hit the bell notification and subscribe, and so you're well informed of the new videos that come in every week. If you have a cup of tea or coffee, I think this is a good video to actually have one on your side and just enjoy that as I talk. Today is going to be a very important topic, and I don't want you to miss it. So I'll give you some time. Go and grab your tea and your coffee and just sit and relax, and we will dig right into it. The topic today is on soul searching, my emotional wellness journey. Some of you might ask, what do you mean by emotional wellness? Emotional wellness is the ability to successfully handle life stresses and the ability to adapt to change and difficult times. All of us have stresses. All of us have a level of stress that is usually uncomfortable. That's why it's called stress. It pushes us sometimes out of our comfort zone, sometimes even way beyond anything that we can handle. And being able to handle stress and difficult times is something that one needs to be emotionally grounded in. You know, stress is not something that you're born with. How do we handle it? Are we able to handle it well? Does it take over our life? Does it defeat us? And those are things we're going to discuss today. I think my emotional wellness journey has always been a part of my life, actually, but I'm not quite sure I would say that I truly identified it as a journey. I don't think I identified it in my 20s or even as a teenager that these are things that I need to learn to navigate. So that's a challenging period. It's going to breeze by. But what do you do when difficult times are for a long period of time? How do you stay grounded? How can one stay balanced in the midst of a time that is very challenging, that is not just the breeze, is actually something that one will have to navigate for an extended period of time? In my case, when I finished my undergrad, I went straight to do my master's, and from there I went straight to law school. And so I will see myself as someone who just perhaps loves to study. Not necessarily the career path I chose meant that I needed to study a bit more, and even after that I went and I studied for the New York bar. So a lot of my 20s, if not all of my 20s and teenage years, were dedicated to studying one thing or the other relating to law. And so as I was coming towards the end of my 20s, or even actually before then, as I finished university and finished law school, it's that time when you ask yourself, why am I here? It's like an existential crisis. Why am I here? What am I doing here? What have I been placed here to do? At least for me, I had those questions, and they came from a place of feeling unrest and feeling that there was more required of me to give to life, but also how do I go about it? Not only looking at the very big questions, but also looking at the struggles I was having, like trying to find a job after studying. I imagined that, oh, once I have my degree, it will be very easy for me to get a job, because of course everybody would want me to work for them. It wasn't the case, and so that even cost me more stress and made me a lot more unhappy, and it made me feel that there was something I was missing. And what was that thing I was missing? And this was where my emotional wellness journey started. Actually, as a Christian, many of you would know that I am a Christian. My search really started with going back to my roots, going back to my faith, asking questions of God and asking why can't I get a job? Why can't I work in the area that I want to work in? asking, why have I been put here? Do you want me to work in this profession? Is that your will for me? And why is it so difficult to get it? I'm sure so many of you can relate to these questions. So many of you have very similar questions. At that time, I felt it was just me. And that's what usually happens when we're going through those pains and difficult periods. It feels like we're alone in this world going through those difficulties. And when that happened, I dug deep into my faith. I asked God certain questions, and as Christians and people of faith, you know that sometimes God does not really answer us very directly. And so that was when my soul searching period started. As I was sharing with you, I started digging deep into my faith and trying to understand why I'm here. And as I did that, I started to learn more and more the things that would help me to stay balanced emotionally. And those are things I want to share with you today. In my journey, which was led by stress and questions of not really hitting those milestones that maybe perhaps I set for myself, sometimes unachievable milestones, but when you're in your 20s, how would you know? I want to run the world at the age of 20. And so when I meet people of the same age now wanting to do the same thing, it only just makes me laugh. And I find it really amusing because I've been there and I know the feeling. And I know the frustration as well of not feeling that you have achieved those things you've set for yourself. I just want to say it out there to my 20s who are watching my video. Do not be hard on yourself. You're not the only one. We've all been there, and usually it will come, okay? Just keep working hard, believing and trusting it will come to you. And I'm saying it as someone in my 30s now, looking back at my 20s and all the frustration I caused myself in my 20s, and just saying, gosh, if I had known that they were all going to come to me, perhaps I wouldn't have been so stressed and so unhappy for a long period of time. I should have just given myself the grace and the time to evolve and grow. And so my emotional wellness journey really was a time for me to dig deep, and as I dug deep, I got to experience different aspects of myself, and that is through that soul searching periods that I got to know more about myself. And in my emotional wellness journey, it brought me closer to my God. I became closer to my faith. I saw that it was more a relational relationship with God rather than a relationship that was very abstract and I couldn't really know the God that I was worshiping. And how did I do that? I think solitude was one of the ways that I was able to pull myself to a place of emotional balance. Sometimes you have to exclude yourself from the crowd, or perhaps turn off the noise around you for you to hear better. And that was what I did. I took time away to spend time in the country. Sometimes I went to retreats, and these retreats are all across different parts of the world. Wherever you are, you can find different retreats. I mostly go to Christian retreats, and those retreats are really a good place because they're there for you to rest, and not only rest but actually connect and reconnect with your maker and with your God, and for him to guide and show wisdom in certain things, or perhaps speak to you in a way that he hasn't spoken to you before. And sometimes I find that when it's busy, it's hard to hear God, at least in my life, and I think in a lot of other people that have shared with me. When your life is busy, how can you really hear? It's hard to hear God. And so it's important to have a time for yourself where you detach from the ways of your lives and the things that you do that perhaps are quite busy, and just have a time for quietness and peace. And I find that going to retreats, having a weekend away in a spa, for example, gives me that headspace to just step away from what I know, and gives me time to also read. I love to read, and I read quite a lot of Christian books, and I use them as a way of guiding me and leading me and learning more about my faith. I believe that if you have a faith that you follow, you want to grow in that faith and you want to know more about it. And so those are things I do: retreating, going away, and just being in a place of solitude. Another thing I found quite helpful is the gift of silence. I know that sometimes we live in a world where something is always talking in the background. There's always noise. There's always either music playing in the background, or, which I'm not saying they're wrong, or the TV or someone. I like sometimes to just be quiet, say nothing, hear nothing, just stay in my own quietness. And I learned so much that silence is a way that I'm able to just listen more to God, hear him talk to me, hear him direct me, ask some questions that perhaps are nagging and I haven't had any answer for, and just really reconnect with myself and my maker. One other thing that really helped me was self-reflection, just looking at life and asking myself certain questions and just, looking inwardly. I feel like our society does not allow us to do a lot of this, so I give a lot of credit to people who find the time to self-discover. It's a very important thing to do and continuously to keep doing. I keep analyzing my decisions and why I am making those decisions. I keep asking myself whether those decisions are in line with the plans that God has for me. And it's so important to recognize who we are, and through self-discovery you get to know what you do best, what you don't do best, and you're able to accept yourself for who you are, because we're all geniuses, but at the same time we can't do everything, so it's important to recognize where our strengths lie and focus on those, and where we are weak, probably build up on that area if you think is important, and if you don't think is important, perhaps just delegate that aspect of your life. And so that when people say, oh, you're not so good at this, you say, actually, I know that's not my strength, and you say it with confidence and knowledge of who you are, because you know your strengths and you know your weaknesses. How would you know that if you don't learn to spend time on your own and discover yourself? Another thing I've noticed with people who do not have much self-awareness is that they struggle to say sorry. I don't know about you. I like to say sorry when I'm wrong, and I also like someone to say sorry to me when they're wrong. But some people always think they're right. I don't think you can always be right, And even if in your eyes you think you're right, there are also people that perhaps can bring a better view to you and tell you, actually, I don't think that's the right thing to do. The recognition of knowing, oh, you're right. Okay, I apologize. And you know that it doesn't diminish you, it doesn't reduce you as a person. It's a lot about self-discovery. I think our world would be a much better place if we spend time enough getting to know who we are, because that makes us more stronger people and less fragile, if I may say, because if you don't know yourself, then whatever someone says against you would affect you so deeply. But when you have a deep understanding of who you are, when someone says something that you really recognize is not you, you're not going to take it to heart. The same way someone says something that you know is true, you recognize it and you say, actually, you're right, I still need to work on this. So it balances you as a person. You're humble. So self-discovery is something that I think a lot of us would need to grow in, and I'm still growing in this area, but I think it really helped me to recognize things that I wasn't doing right, areas that I needed to work on. Another thing is limiting our time on the phone. I'll be very honest with you. I think from when I was 25, I put my phone on silent, and up until today, my phone is still on silent. It's the best decision that I made, and I'm so grateful to God that I did. Initially I was quite unsure. I was like, what if someone calls me? Especially the fear of missing out, FOMO. No, but I am so glad I did that. You don't have to have your phone on ring and you can hear the different tones. I find that very distracting and very noisy. So when my phone is on silent, it vibrates sometimes as well, so I can see it vibrating. I leave my vibrate on and I can see the phone vibrating, which is telling me that a call is coming in. These are things that I found that helped me with staying emotionally balanced. And those soul searching periods in my life, it lasted for quite a long time. I'm gonna tell you a story about this on a later video, and just the journey I went through with it and how it defined me and how it made me hopefully a better person and someone who can really connect better with people because of those times I had on my own, the times that I spent with God, learning to know my personality, the things that are not right in me, God pointing them out and telling me what I need to do to change, how I needed to change. And they could take months and years, but that's okay, because you're becoming a better person and the world will thank you for it. The people around you will thank you for it, and you especially will be very proud of yourself, of the journey you've been on. So why not? Why shouldn't you be the best version of yourself? That's how I always look at it. We can always keep getting better and we can always be better people. So why don't we strive to be better people, is always what I say. On that very good note, guys, I'm going to leave you. I hope you have a fabulous week. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so and turn on your bell notification so you're made aware of all the really juicy videos and contents that I make every week. And also follow me on social media. I'm on most of the social media platforms, and do say hello, and I would like to hear from you. Do not fail to comment on what you would like me to do next. Until next time, have a wonderful week. Bye guys.